week 3, and I think this is our last assignment before spring break. I hope you and your family are doing okay and you're staying healthy out there. It's a real stressful time, so we're going slow. We're only doing a little bit each week. It's just important that we all keep up on our schoolwork, and if you have any questions, please email me. My email is all over the place, but here it is again. So this week we're looking at what's called the credit card statement, and this is new material, and I thought it was a little bit confusing, so rather than make you or ask you to do it on your own, I wanted to go over it here in the video. So go find this doc, make a copy of it, and let me explain what's going on, and then I'll walk you through the questions. When you have a credit card, every month you get a bill in the mail, and that's called the credit card statement. This is a sample of a credit card statement. This particular person, I just want to explain to you what is on here, and then we'll go through the questions. So every month you get this in the mail. You want to look at it just real quickly, make sure it looks right, there's no mistakes, you're not getting scammed, the bank didn't change anything, and then you shred it. When it comes to your credit card, you want to pay the bill on time. That's the most important thing. And if you can, pay it off in full every month. They can't charge you interest if you pay the bill in full every month. And the statement is where you'll see everything that happened in the previous month, and you'll know for sure that everything is correct. So real quickly, number 1, the summary. Oh, sorry, it's a picture, so it's a little funky to work with. You can see that last month they owed $535, but then they made a payment of $450, and on that they should have paid the whole amount. They didn't, so they were charged this $11 in interest. Other credits, for some reason they got a refund of $13.45. They must have returned something, whatever, got the money back on the card. Now this month they had bought another $530 and stuff. They had a second credit card with a balance of $785, and they took that debt and put it onto this credit card that's called a balance transfer. So hopefully that other credit card is now a zero balance, but in reality, this is another trick. Maybe they owed $2,000 on the other card, and this was the only amount they were allowed to transfer. Balance transfers, basically, that's a real red flag that they've gotten into debt and they're having a hard time getting out. So they took some of that debt and put it on this card. This is always a mistake. The cash advance, that's where you took the credit card, used it like a debit card to take out cash. That's always going to be the highest APR. You never ever want to use a cash advance. They don't have a past due amount, which is good, so they did pay on time, it looks like. And the fees, we'll look in a minute and see where all that came from. And the new balance, they went from a balance of basically $535, paid it down, and then charged it up like crazy to get to $1,700. The card has a limit of $2,000, so they're really getting close to the max that they can borrow. They can only borrow another $200. Okay, so on the right here, number 2, you can see here's how much they owe. This is the minimum payment trap. The banks want you to only pay the minimum, because if you only paid $53 this month, the next month, even if you didn't spend any more money, you would owe $1,200 or so. They can charge an enormous amount of interest on that. So the longer they can get you to owe them money by paying back as little as possible each month, the more money they make off you. So the worst thing you can do is pay it late. The second worst thing you can do is only make the minimum payment. And you don't want to go over the limit, because then they'll start to really hit you with other fees. This is a warning box that the government forces them to put on here. And it's telling you, if you only paid $53 and never used the card again, it would take 10 years of paying that minimum payment to pay back this debt. And it'll cost you $3,000 in interest. So this is what the banks want you to do. Pay the minimum and overpay them with interest. Ridiculous amount of interest. If you paid just an extra $9 on top of the $53, you could push up to $62 a month. You would drastically cut how long it takes to pay back the loan, and it would save you $1,000. So always pay more than the minimum. Even if it's only a little bit more than the minimum payment, it'll save you tons of time, your most important asset, right? and it'll save you a lot of money, your second most important asset. So please handle your credit wisely. Be careful. Here's more fine print. They have to tell you, here's what will trigger this super high interest rate on the card. The penalty rate is what they call it. So this was only 17% interest on this credit card, and because they've been goofing up, they're now paying this much. Okay, here's the transactions. This is the important part to check. You don't want to be paying for stuff you didn't buy, or if you were overcharged for something, you'd want to report that. So here's all the transactions. They bought something, they paid off, there's the payment. Bought something, they went to the ATM and took out cash. Huge mistake on a credit card. They also transferred $785. Bought stuff, bought stuff, bought stuff. Late fee, apparently they paid late on this, $450. The balance transfer, they transferred that, they paid a fee. The cash advance, not only are they paying 29% interest now, 28% I should say, they charged them a fee. So a lot of fees this time. And if I just go back real quick, that's the fees. So really expensive. They really went crazy this month and they have a ton of debt now. Cool. Let's go through the questions. And the reason I wanted to do this with you is a couple of these are real tricky. This one was obvious. This was how much they owed from the previous, or they owed the previous month. It's not exactly accurate because they did pay the $450, so this is a tricky question. Okay. How much do they currently owe? That's the balance on the card. And the third question, the only way to decrease the money you owe is by making payments. When you balance transfer, you're taking debt from another credit card, putting it on this one. Cash advance, you're literally borrowing cash instead of going to a store and using it. Very expensive. And obviously the interest is only going to add to the debt you owe. Payments is the only way to pay down your debt. Before sending in the payment, you go to the bike store. You're looking to spend some more money. The card has a $2,000 limit, and you already add about $1,700. So you've only got an available amount to spend of $200. Okay, this question again, it's so out of date. Nowadays, you can almost always just get onto the bank's website and either do a live chat or email them. But if you think you're going to be late on your credit card payment, still the best thing you can do is just pick up the phone and call them. On the back of your credit card, there'll be a 1-800 number. So you just look on the back of the card, you talk to customer service, and if you just tell them, hey, I'm going to be late, can you waive the late payment fee? As long as you're doing it like the day before, a couple days before, they'll usually say no problem. They won't charge you an additional fee. As long as you are a good customer, you're usually paying on time, they will work with you. So if you think you're going to be late paying your credit card, just take 10 minutes, flip the card over, give them a call. Okay, so which of these is false? Yeah, these are all true, except this one. When you pay the minimum payment, you're actually mostly paying interest. If you owe them $1,700, you're only paying $53. You're going to owe them tons of money from month to month. It's going to take forever to pay off that card. So making a minimum payment, you definitely pay interest. So this is false. 7. You've triggered the penalty. What could have done this? A bunch of things. But in this case, you were late. If you're even 1 day late making the payment, that's going to trigger the penalty. So again, call them ahead of time if you can. Say, I'm going to be late. Can you not penalize me? Can you waive the fee? If you're not doing that very often, they'll probably say, yeah, well, thanks for letting us know. We'll put a note on the account and hopefully it won't trigger. But just pay on time. They can't wait for you to be late on the payments. They can't wait for you to fall into debt and not be able to pay it off every month. This question is really hard to do on your own. Number 8, the penalty APR is 29%. You owe them $1,800. How much interest would you owe? Okay, I had to use a calculator, so I'll just do it for you here. Let's say 28% interest, that's for a whole year, so I'll divide it by 12 because there's 12 months in a year. So you're paying about 2.4%. If you have an $1,800 balance times 0.024, you're going to owe them about $40 just in interest this month. So that's where this came from. Really hard to do on your own. This is what makes distance learning so hard. We can't like practice stuff like this. Okay, you were charged $6 in interest. Why? This is why. You owed $535. You only paid $450. So the difference there of however much that is, 120 bucks, give or take, they charge you interest on it, just like this. But because it was such a small amount of money, the interest was a lot less. Okay, this is one of those questions where you've got a friend that's in trouble, but hopefully you will be the one who can help out a friend or family member when they're screwing up. Your friend Caitlin does not think it's important to look at the statement. Instead, she's got auto pay. She just pays the minimum amount every month on the credit card. This is a bad idea. Can you tell her why? I'd love it if you could give me at least 2 reasons. My first reason would be she's paying tons of interest. She should always pay more than the minimum. It's great she's paying on time. That's going to help her credit score, but ultimately it's going to cost her a lot in interest. Always pay more than the minimum unless it's an emergency and you can't do it. Second one, and this has happened to Mr. Fisher in real life, that there's illegal activity on the card where someone or some company has gotten your credit card number and they're charging you stuff. I will be honest, I had a credit card that I didn't look at the statement for several months, like 4 or 5 months. When I finally looked at it, I noticed there was a weird charge on the card for like $60 every month. And I was like, what is this? Turned out someone was scamming me. They had gotten my credit card number and they were charging me for nothing. And I called the credit card company, explained that it was a scam, and they went back and they took off like 6 months of this $60 charge. No one will ever find those little mistakes or scams except for you. You're the only person who cares how much money you're paying on the credit card and what was charged, so you have to double check it. It only takes like 10 seconds to look at it. So you get it in the mail, you open it, you look it over, and then you shred it. The other thing is if the bank has made changes to your account, maybe they increased your available credit. That happened to Mr. Fisher where I had a $500 limit for ever, like 10 years. And then overnight, I noticed, hey, I can now charge $5,000. The other thing is the interest rate. They're almost always going to try to increase the interest rates, not drop it. So you won't know for sure if the interest rate's gone up or down unless you're checking on your credit card statement. So you want to make sure you look at that every month. It comes in the mail. They will let you go paperless, so you just go online. A lot of people are not doing it though. They set up the auto pay and they forget about it. So do yourself a favor every month. You go pay it, you pay it in full, but just double check. Look at the credit card statement on their website. I hope you're doing okay out there. If you have any questions, just email me. I went really quickly through this. It's so important, but at the same time, with distance learning, I don't want to overwhelm you. So take your time. Hope you're doing well, and email me if you have any questions. Take care. If I don't make another video before spring break, have a great spring break, everybody.